let's see how this angle works. I feel like you guys are really far away, but I just wanted to see what it would look like. I don't know if you guys could tell, I'm trying to like change angles of where I film, where I don't need to film in like the same corners, because then I just feel like the videos are a little bit more boring. So if you don't like this angle, let me know. But I think we can make something out of this on my bed. Anyway, hi, hello, welcome. If you're new, if you're not new, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marina, and today I'm back with another monthly wrap up for February. Now, as you guys know, I was sick for like the last, I want to say like week and a half of February. I wish I could say I'm one of those people that can read while I'm sick and get through like so many books, because I just have so much downtime because I'm just in bed low-key dying. But I'm not one of those people. When I am sick, I just want to go through the motions by sleeping. Like, just give me my medicine and I will sleep in bed until I wake up and I feel better. So that's how I spent my time being sick. I did not read that much in the week that I was like out cold. So with that being said, I only read I think 7 books this month, which is still like a good amount. That's usually my average. Yeah, I have 7 books to talk about with you guys today. Let's just get started. The first book that I have is actually one that I read in the last week of January, but I technically didn't finish it until the first day of February, so that's why it's in here. But it's like everything in me not to talk about this book in my January wrap up, because I was getting off of the high of reading it. The Poet Empress by Chantal. Also, I'm telling you right now that I don't know what I was on in February in terms of like my actual reviews, but I did not list any notes for any of the books I read in February. So we're really going off the cuff for all of these. I'm gonna try to go based off of like my memory of what I liked and disliked about the books that I read, but I don't know. I guess I just was not in the mood to review. This is a book that has been making its rounds in the book community as like most people's like anticipated read or like favorite read of the year, and it's only March, so keep that in mind, okay? I had this on my anticipated releases, as you guys know. I did not know it was getting as much hype as it was getting until like after I finished reading it, and I saw everyone talking about how like this is the best book of the year, how it's like one of their most anticipated releases and it didn't let them down, yada yada. I was like, oh okay, so I guess I was on a bandwagon without even realizing it. This was in my anticipated releases of 2026, if you guys watched that video, and I'm glad that I got to it. I didn't realize it came out so early in the year. It wasn't until I went into a bookstore and I saw it on a new release table that I was like, oh okay, I would like to read it, and I'm so glad that I did. This book follows the main character, Wei Yin, who is going through really tough times. She lives in a village that is going through a really terrible famine. Everyone in her village has no money, has no food. They're basically getting by with the clothes on their backs, essentially. And Wei Yin really wants better for her family, especially her little brother. Like, she works really hard to make sure that he has everything that he needs, but there's only so much she can do with the resources that are provided by the higher-ups, aka the empire, the courts, the royal people that don't really provide anything to the lower income families. So when she finds out that one of the royals is looking for a concubine, she immediately goes and takes the chance of basically applying for that position. And she doesn't think she'd get far because she's not a noble of society. She's literally just like a random village girl, but she does end up getting picked. And when she does, she is tortured by this prince. He is not a good person, but she knew that going into it. There have been many rumors about this specific prince in the royal line, and she knew that she might have to suffer in order to withstand this position, but she's willing to do it just so she can give money back to her family. Once she realizes that there's no real way to redeem this guy, like he's just evil through and through, so she thinks, she's like, okay, how the heck can I take him and his family down, because they low-key all suck. Like, it's not just him, though he is like low-key the main villain of the story. Everyone in power is the enemy, okay? Like, that's kind of the moral of the story here. So Wei Yin finds out that in order to take down these people, she needs to learn how to write and read, because they get their power from writing poetry, and she's never read poetry because she can't read. She's never written poetry because she can't write. So she has some people in the castle teach her how to do these things, and she needs to write a poem that's a love poem essentially towards the prince that will kill him. But obviously, as you know, she hates this guy, so she's like, how the heck can I find love in my heart for this man who's torturing me every night? She slowly finds out the ins and outs of the prince's story and how he came to be this way, and how the other princes, his brothers, impacted that, and how like everyone in the royal family is like, again, basically sucks. There's no real innocence, there's no real victim complex. It's just her learning about how all of them are fighting for power at the end of the day, and they don't really care about each other, even though they are siblings and parents and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles. They don't really care about each other. They just care about who gets to be on the throne and who gets power from that throne. And obviously, because there are 4 brothers, 4 princes in line for the throne, there's like competition there. Sorry, it's just started pouring really hard. If you hear rain, I don't know, maybe it might be ASMR, but it just started pouring really hard, guys. I'm so sorry. Yeah, she learns about her princess background and what it will take for her to find love in her heart to make this poem to kill him in the end, if she still wants to. I hope that makes sense. I hope that I did a good job explaining that. I don't know. I know a lot of people are praising this book right now. It is well deserved. This is, I think, gonna be one of my favorite books of the year. I gave it a 4.5. It is such a good book, and I can't believe it's a debut novel. I was shocked. Like, the fact that this is really Chantal's debut, I'm expecting greatness from them in the future. Like, going forward, I expect nothing less. Like, are you kidding? Everything from like the characters specifically to the complexities of like the politics and the government, and how that weaves through like this very dysfunctional family tree, how you learn about the magic. Because I will say, like, I gave it a 4.5 because I was so invested in, I think, what it means to make magic out of poetry. Sadly, I feel like the one downside of this book is that it didn't really get much into the poetry aspect. I thought there'd be more poetry, and there wasn't, which is why I gave it a 4.5. But even learning about like how the magic worked was so interesting. I don't know, like, I just think that the way that this book was written, from like way in learning about the prince and how he became to be this really evil, conniving, manipulative person, when everyone, depending on who you talk to in the castle, knew him as like different. It's all about like perspective in this book. So like Wei-Yin goes around asking different people in the castle who have known the prince since he was a kid how he ended up this way, and everyone has a different version of the prince. Everyone knew him differently. Everyone knew of his brothers differently. Like, it's all about perspective at the end of the day, and Wei-Yin got to learn different sides of him, to the point where when you get to the end of the book, you're kind of like, what is she gonna do? Because she doesn't really know the prince. Like, yes, she knows of him because of like how he treats her directly, but according to everyone else who has known him his whole life, they all know these different sides of him, and they don't really know how he got to be this way. And she has to figure it out by herself. Is this guy really that evil, or is he brought up in like an evil system made by evil people? Like, did he really have no chance of becoming like a good person when he grows up in a family like this, in a government political system like this? It's so fascinating. I devoured this book. Like I said, this would have definitely made it in my January wrap up, but I didn't finish it until the 1st of February. The Poet Empress by Chantal, highly recommend it. Highly recommend. If you're looking for like a fantasy, not a romantasy, but a fantasy that deals with like romantic elements of having to know someone and understand them well enough to have some type of love for them, I think you might like this. I don't know if that makes sense, but like, this definitely is not a romance. Do not go into it thinking that there's any romance here. There's not, but it's something else. Depending on what kind of fantasy reader you are, you will definitely enjoy it. I will say check trigger warnings though. Like, not gonna lie, the way that the prince was torturing the main character, you need to check trigger warnings for that. I think there are trigger warnings at the beginning of the book, but just in case you overlook them, just look them up beforehand, okay? Next book I have is one that you guys know I read, The X Dilemma. I do not have a physical copy of this because I read it on Kindle, but The X Dilemma by L. Wright. Don't really think I need to talk much about this because you guys saw me reading this in my blog where I read romance for a week. I gave this a 2.5. So this book follows two of the main characters. I don't remember their names. Wesley and Joyce. Wesley and Joyce were like high school sweethearts, deeply in love when they were teenagers, and then Wesley, for some reason, breaks off their relationship with no real warning to Joyce. He just gets up and leaves and goes no contact. And then they never speak again until like 15 years later when Joyce is contacted by Wesley's grandma to get her to be like a private investigator to figure out who is talking about Wesley and her other grandkids, because they come from like old money. So like Wesley and Joyce, or I guess just Wesley's grandma owns like a really big business, so like they come from, again, old money. They are kind of in the spotlight a little, so there are like specific tabloids, blogs, gossip channels that are talking about Wesley and his cousins and his siblings, and the grandma is hiring Joyce to figure out who is doing this. And this brings Joyce and Wesley back together after all these years of them not communicating with each other, and a relationship slowly unfolds. So yeah, I was not a fan of this. I did not like this book. I think I told you guys this in my blog. I had to read it for a work event that we were doing with the author, and the author, very kind, lovely person. She was really fun to talk to, but I sadly did not like this book. I don't know, I feel like I've said this before, in order for a second chance romance to work, I have to like really be able to understand the reasoning behind why the characters broke up the first time and be empathetic enough to root for the relationship moving forward. Like, if you don't address the problem of why you guys broke up in the first place, then what makes you think the second time would be any better, you know? And I'm a fan of second chance romance. I think I've realized this. It's just like, those are my terms and conditions. Like, I want them to address why the first time didn't work out, and I think in this book they never really addressed that. Like, it was addressed a little, and Wesley, the main guy, apologized, he groveled, but it just wasn't convincing. I feel like a lot of it was moving really fast. Like, I don't know. And I said this multiple times in the vlog because I didn't want to spoil it, but I don't know. If I was broken up with the way that Joyce was, I would not be forgiving Wesley that easily. I understand that they were teenagers and that they made a mistake, but I would have needed like a better explanation or more time to just like get over it, I guess. Wesley wasn't that likable of a main love interest for me to really root for him trying to get Joyce back. And I feel like Joyce was low-key very annoying because it was like she wanted him but she didn't, but she did, and it was kind of like her want for him was more lustful instead of like romantic, which is like fine. But then when it came down to like him flirting with other women, she got jealous, and I'm like, well girl, that's not how that works. This couple was very annoying to me, so maybe because of how annoying they were, they matched each other's freak well. I don't know, maybe that's how they're meant to be together. But I just couldn't get behind them as a couple. I thought that they were so freaking annoying. Yeah, I was able to get through the book. It's not that long of a book, so it only took me like, I think 2 or 3 days to read it. It was set in Detroit, which is why I think I kept reading it, because I rarely ever read romances that are set in Detroit. So it was kind of like an immersive experience, being able to read where the characters were going and recognizing each location and landmark that was pointed out in the book. I thought that was really fun. But yeah, the romance itself, not it. I think I would continue the series though if the author got better at like writing. Like, I think like some things just fell short on like the actual characters and all that, but I think it's supposed to be a series, and each series is gonna follow a different person in Wesley's family, I'm pretty sure, in their romance. And I will say that the best part about this book was the side characters and their antics. Like, I'm very invested in the messiness of rich people. You guys know this, hence why my favorite series is the Addicted series. Like, you guys know I love just reading about rich people's problems. They're not that serious, but I just am invested. I love reality TV the same way. So yeah, if like the writing got better, I think I would continue on with the series because I like the other characters. I just could not stand Joyce and Wesley. Okay, this next book I read is another anticipated release. I was not aware that a lot of my anticipated releases came out like the first quarter of 2026, so that's fun. The next book I read was Love by the Book by Jessica George, and I read this this on audio as like an audio arc. I'm pretty sure it's not out yet. It doesn't come out until I want to say April. I gave this book a 4-star. I really enjoyed this book. If you guys don't know, I talked about this book in my anticipated releases, like I said, but basically it follows 2 characters, Remy and Simone, and Remy and Simone are going through very different things in their lives. Remy is going through a friendship, somewhat breakup with her core group of like 3 or 4 best friends, and they all have like life stuff going on. They're all in their like late 20s, and they have stuff to do and they can't always prioritize their friendship, and I think Remy is feeling the brunt of that. Whenever she tries to like hang out with them, it's like impossible. Whenever she tries to like make some sort of plans, they all bail, and she's just starting to feel a little bit neglected, unwanted. Whereas with Simone is going through her own little family breakup where she has complicated stuff going on with her family. I feel like I can't give too much away because I don't know what's a spoiler and what's not, but Simone is basically alone. She doesn't talk to her parents, she doesn't talk to her sister after the fallout that they had, and somehow, some way, these 2 individuals meet and they form a friendship, and this book is all about their friendship and the ups and downs of that. It's really cute though, because this book follows like typical romance tropes. Like their friendship is a slow burn, it has a grumpy sunshine dynamic. This book has like somewhat of a 3rd act breakup in it. It's like a really cute friendship book, but it shows how like some friendships can have romantic elements, but it's just all platonic, and I think that that's really, really cute. Like I said, I didn't really write a review for it, so I can't really give anything away, but I really love the dynamic between Remy and Simone. Remy is obviously, like how I described, there for her friendships. She knows what it takes to be a friend, whereas Simone has always kind of been like a lone wolf her whole life. Like her best friend is her sister, but because her and her sister are not on speaking terms right now, she doesn't really feel the need to make friends until Remy kind of forces herself into Simone's life, and then she teaches her what friends do, what friendship is, what it heavily relies on. You know, seeing them form that bond from beginning to end, it just made my heart really happy. I think I said this again in my anticipated releases video. I really am starting to garner more towards books that rely more on platonic love than romantic love. I really enjoy romance books, as you guys know, but I think books just about friendship are just as important, and this book really highlighted why I love books like this. Everything about it was good. Like even when I was like frustrated with Remy or Simone, but mostly Remy was a very frustrating character. You could tell that she had the best of intentions to make that friendship with Simone work. Same with Simone, because obviously, like I said, Simone is not used to friendship and she doesn't really know how to go about things, but they both try really hard because at the end of the day they care about each other and they want to be in each other's lives for better or for worse. And it was really, really good. I don't know. The audiobook wasn't that long. I think it was only like 12 hours. Usually my limit with audiobooks is 10 hours. So that's how you know. It was really good to me. Because I don't usually do an audiobook that's over 10. Like my brain just can't handle it. Highly recommend it. It's really funny, it's witty. Like I said, it's very much like a romance book without the romance. Like if you like typical like romance tropes, I think you would really, really like this book, because it's like it takes romance books and it turns it on its head as just like girlhood and womanhood and friendship, and I think that that's really cool. So yeah, I also recommend the audiobook. I think that the narrator did a really good job. Go read that. I'm telling you, I don't think you'll be disappointed. The next book I have is one that I was actually reading during my romance for a week vlog, but I was not talking about this book on camera because it didn't really fit the theme. I was mostly doing like black romances during the week, but I needed to read this book because it was a library book that was due, so I needed to cram this into that week. Next book I read is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. You guys probably know of this book. If you are on any like book social media sites, especially last year, this was low-key the book of the year last year, and I'm curious. I like to have my ears to the streets of what the people are talking about, especially when it comes to like notable books. I think like, yes, I love to stay in my little bubble and read what I like, but when a book is getting like a lot of noise and traction, I tend to be nosy and read it, but I usually won't pick it up until the hype has died down a bit, and I think the hype for this book has died down enough where I was like, okay, let me see if it's available at the library. It was. I had to wait like a few weeks though, so by the time it was available to me, it was when I was reading romance books for a week, so I was like, well, that timing sucks. Finished it. I gave it 3.25 stars, and let's talk about it. Broken Country is about this woman who lives in a tiny little town on the north side of, I want to say, the UK, England, and it's like a little farm town. Nothing really goes down in this town. She lives on a farm with her husband and her husband's brother, and it's just like a quiet little town. Her life is very cozy. She loves her husband, loves her little life, and then in comes her old lover from high school, who she has not seen since high school, and he moves back to this town with his son, and things just kind of snowball from there. She starts babysitting his son while he's out of the house, and we see these moments, but we also know that this is not the present timeline. Everything that we're seeing in that plot is the past. The present timeline, there is actually a court trial going on for a murder, and she has something to do with it. She's not on the stand. She's not the one arrested, but we know that someone in her life, in these flashbacks that we're seeing, is either dead or has something to do with the person who died. And while we're reading these flashbacks of like the events that happened before, we're just trying to see who, what, why, when, how, and it's really, it was interesting because I don't think I've read anything like this. I don't really do murder mysteries. I don't. Granted, this really isn't labeled a mystery. It's under like fiction, but I would say that this is a little bit of a mystery because it kept on cutting back and forth to the trial. And the trial chapters, in my opinion, were kind of the most interesting parts of the book. I feel like the flashbacks that were happening, like we had like 3 different timelines. We had the timelines of like when the main character first met like her husband and then first met her ex-boyfriend. She met both of them in high school. So we have like these plots that are like 20 years before, and then we have these plots that are like a year before the murder, and then we have the actual murder trial in present time. And I think I forgot to mention this, it's all set in like the 60s. So yeah, there's a lot happening. I feel like this book was okay. I don't know, I didn't really feel wowed by this book, hence why I gave it like a 3.25. I enjoyed myself. I thought it was okay. I just think the mystery of it all fell flat for me because I already knew what happened. Like, I could tell what went down. I could tell who killed someone. I couldn't tell who died, but when it was revealed, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. Usually I don't read mysteries, so I'm not really a person who goes like who done it, trying to figure out what the mystery is, but I feel like when I read like the first 20 pages, I was like, okay, I already know who did this. But I will say I like the way that Claire Leslie Hall writes because nothing's really dragged out. It's very straight to the point. This book is not long. It's only like 300 pages, and I think that she said everything she needed to say. There weren't too many like plot holes. Everything made sense. I will say when it comes to like the romance element, because again, you get to see how her and her husband met, you get to see how her and her ex-lover met. The romance of it all was just very frustrating because obviously this main character, you could tell throughout the entire book, is not perfect, and that's okay, but she was very annoying. She was very annoying because, like I said, she has this very cozy life that she has with her present day husband, living on a farm, milking cows, has friends and family in this town, like she's kind of living her best life, and then this ex-lover comes and she kind of just like willingly ruins her life. But then like you do feel empathy because there's a lot of backstory when it comes to her and her husband in their past, and like you understand where she's coming from, so, but only to a certain extent. At least for me, I could not understand half the things she was doing throughout this book and why. Like it got to the point where I was like, low-key, this did not need to happen if you just did not do anything. If you just did not put your hand in everyone's business, you did. It was very frustrating to me. I gave this 3.25 stars. If you like very calm, kind of eerie reads, like it was very, like the tension of the book was heavy because you knew something was going to happen. You just didn't know when. And again, you didn't really know how. So throughout the whole entire book, I was on my toes. But then by the time it ended, I was like, oh, okay. I really do feel like that main character was pissing me off to the point where I was siding with a man. You know how much you have to piss me off to side with a man?
Snooster. It smells so good in here.
Thanks. I love this book cover. It looks so pretty. You have the most prettiest books. Why are you looking at me like that? You're on camera. Oh, I'm on camera? Oh, sorry. No, it's okay. I don't know if I would read another book like this, if I'm being honest, because this was low-key a lot of rage bait for me. Because it's annoying when you see someone living your dream. Like, I would love to live on the northern side of UK in like a farm city with a husband who loves me in a small town where I have best friends. I would not fuck that up. I don't know. That's just me though. That's just me. 3.25 stars to Broken Country. Next book we have is another one that you guys know I read for my Romance for a Week video. Real by Kennedy Ryan. I'm not going to go into this one too much because again I have talked about this at length in that vlog, but this is the first book in Kennedy Ryan's Hollywood Renaissance series. I think I told you guys this before. When I bought this book I had no idea it was part of a series, but I guess it is, and the second book comes out in May, so I was like, you know what, might as well just pick this up because it also went with like my black love romance book theme for that week, and I was like, sure. I gave this book 4.5 stars. I was really hoping it would be my first 5-star read of the year, and sadly it wasn't, but that doesn't mean I love this book any less. It's 4.5 stars. This book follows Neva. I still don't know how to pronounce her name. I want to say it's Neva. This book follows Neva and Cannon. Neva is an upcoming actress who is an understudy on a really big Broadway play, but she doesn't really get any showtime on stage unless the main actress of the play falls sick. And I guess thankfully for Neva, the actress who is the main character ends up being sick and Neva fills in for her part. What she doesn't know is when she's on the stage fulfilling this role, Kanan is in the audience, and Kanan is a really big Hollywood director, and he's making a biopic about one of the great pioneers during the Harlem Renaissance, Desi Blue, and he is looking for an actress who can play Desi Blue. And when he sees Neva Saint on stage, he's immediately blown away. He's like, I need her in this movie. I will do anything to get her in this movie. That's my Desi Blue. This whole book is about like the process of making this movie and finding out who Desi Blue is and her impact on like black artistry moving forward. We also get a little romance between Neva and Kanan, and it's really, really cute. It's kind of like giving forbidden love because it is boss employee a little bit, because he is the director and she is an up-and-coming actress. Like before she got hired to do this movie, she was not seen in anything else, maybe like 2 or 3 commercials, but yeah, so it's kind of a forbidden love trope, boss employee, and it's age gap. I think he's like 8 years older than her. It's really good, guys. I enjoyed this. I think you guys saw on the vlog I was eating this up. Thing is, with Kennedy Ryan, I wasn't worried because you guys know I eat up anything Kennedy Ryan gives to me. It's really that simple. The reason I didn't give this a 5 though is because although I was really into the first half of the book, I feel like the second half was just so sad, and usually that's not a problem with Kennedy Ryan books. I think you guys know this about me. The reason why I feel so connected to Kennedy Ryan books is because she writes the type of romance that I like, where it's not just fluff. Like there's like an emotional impact while reading her books that I appreciate. Like it's not just like 2 characters getting to know each other and liking each other and having a happily ever after. There are like obstacles that they need to overcome in order to be together, and sometimes they're very heavy, but they're very real and they're very human. So I appreciate that aspect of her books, but for this one I was like, damn, we're really getting heavy. Mind you, it was only like 2 weeks after they got together where all the bad stuff started happening, and so it was like the 60% point of the book onward was just really sad. And like I said, I like that about Kennedy Ryan, but I was like, damn, can we get like at least one more happy moment before we get to the really depressing parts? I don't know. It didn't really ruin the romance for me though. Like I love Neva and I love Kanan. He might be Kennedy Ryan's best book boyfriend to me. That's a really good man, and I didn't think anything would be able to beat out, or anyone, sorry, would be able to beat out Judah from This Could Be Us. Judah, that's another good man. I think Kanan tops him all the way. It's like crazy. So yeah, though I did not give this a 5-star, I will say I enjoyed literally everything about this book. It was just like, it got to the point where I was like, damn, how much sadness can we go through, you know? Also, I'm not gonna lie, I feel like the conflict between Neva and her sister was not explored all that well for me to understand why her sister was so like that towards Neva. I don't know, like I said, you understand a lot about like both characters and what they're going through, and the stuff that Neva is going through off the stage with her family. I don't know, she's a lot more forgiving than me. I'll just say that, because the stuff that her sister did to her, and then like when she tried to explain her side, I was like, I still don't understand, I still don't get it, but whatever. So I don't know, there's some things that fell through on this book, but it wasn't enough for me to give it anything less than like a 4-star. Real by Kennedy Ryan. Go read it. I can't wait for the sequel. I haven't looked into the sequel at all though, so I don't really know who it's following. I have a guess. I have like 2 guesses actually, because there's one character in this book that I saw that was into someone else, and I was like, wait, we could be cooking. So we'll see. All right, the next book that we have is another manga. Now this one is one that you guys know I've been reading slowly over the course of the past few months, so it shouldn't be that much of a shock. I read The Summer Hikaru Died Volume 4. You guys know I started this manga series last month. It's low-key become my latest obsession, and I've been getting through the rest of them slowly because there are only 6 volumes out right now, and so like I'm in really no rush to finish it. So I think I'm just gonna read one a month just to hold on to the high that this series gives me. Summer Hikaru Died by Moku Mokuren. This is about a boy, Hikaru, who ends up disappearing in the woods one summer, and no one really knows where he is. No one really thinks much of it. People just assume that he like disappeared and or died. And his best friend Yoshiki is going through like the grief of losing his best friend until one day Hikaru comes back after like a week, and people are so happy. They're like, oh my god, where have you been? What happened to you? But Yoshiki sees something weird going on with Hikaru. He knows that that's not really his best friend. He's like, something's weird, something's off, I don't like this. And they both get to the bottom of what the heck this version of Hikaru is. Like, because this version of Hikaru, though he acts like Hikaru, he also doesn't know what he is. He just knows that he came back and he's in Hikaru's body, and he's willing to just live Hikaru's life. He doesn't really mean any harm towards anyone. He just kind of wants to live in peace. But he does know that Hikaru definitely is gone. So yeah, Yoshiki and the new Hikaru is just trying to figure out what this is, why this thing is in Hikaru's body, where Hikaru went, why Hikaru disappeared and or died. And it's really fascinating. Like I said, I love how this series makes me feel, because it's really a story about friendship and grief, but it's also really weird and it makes me uncomfortable, but like not in like a bad way. It's just like you can tell that something weird is happening and I don't know what it is. So I gave this volume 4 stars. I think I gave the others 5. I think the reason why I gave this one 4 stars though is because we're slowly getting into the world building of this town that Yoshiki and Hikaru live in, and the secrets that's hiding beneath this town. And it's very, very weird and a little confusing to me. Like I think I'm gonna have to reread this volume to understand what the heck they're talking about, because the way that Hikaru died, it was obviously like an accident, but the more we find out, I don't know. I don't know. I think I need to reread it. I think the reason why I gave this 4 stars is because I didn't really understand. I didn't understand what was happening. Like I said, I really enjoyed this series. I can't wait to pick up the rest. All right. Last book that I will be talking about in this wrap up is one that, again, I finished this on March 1st because I genuinely thought I finished this book. I thought I did, and then I realized I didn't. I had like 5% of it left, and I finished it like on the 1st of March. But I'm keeping it in here because you guys saw me read this book during romance for a week, and I think it'd be weird to include this book in a March wrap up when you guys know I read this book in February. So I read Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. Yes, I got the physical copy. I know when you guys saw me read this for the first time, I read it on KU. I had to get the physical copy of this. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? And it's so pretty. Look at it. It's just so pretty. I was going through my storygraph and I realized that this book had currently reading under, and I was like, what? And then I opened up KU and I still had 5% of it left. And I was like, no, because again, I was going through sickness for a week, and so I forgot that I didn't actually finish this. I thought I did, but it's okay. I gave this book 4 stars. This follows 2 characters, Noah and Sage. Noah gets hired to work at a new comic publishing company, and that's like her dream. She's been wanting to work as like a comic illustrator and story writer for years. Ever since she got out of college, she's been looking for new work, and she's finally able to do that at this new established company that's known for making like very historical like comic strips and stuff. Like, she's working with the big dogs and she's very excited, but she knows that there's someone else that's working here that she has history with that she's not all that excited to work with. In comes Sage. Sage is Noah's low-key college rival. They have history. They have a lot of history, and Sage was not aware that Noah would be working with her, specifically on like a comic that she helped create the foundation of. So she's thrown off kilter. She's very confused, especially because she is trying to get into a position where she can write her own comic. Right now she's writing stories for this company that have already established characters from like the 90s, and she's like fine with this, but she wants to write her own story, and she knows that if Noah comes in, then they're basically going to be competing for who gets to write their own comic underneath this company, and she doesn't want the competition. But she's like, okay, whatever, may the best artist win. And on top of this, there's like another competition happening on like this, think of like Webtoons website. People are making stories and comics. However, the creators of that website that both Noah and Sage write on announced that there is a competition, and whoever can write the best story on that website will be able to get like a big fat check of money, and will be able to make their own story with another bigger publisher. So Noah and Sage are competing for 2 things: a spot in their current company that they work under, of who can create the best story for these characters so then they can write their own story, and then they're also competing on this Webtoons like website of who can get the most money from creating the best story on that website, while also maybe being able to make their own story under a bigger, better company. So yeah, it's really good, really cute. It's rivals to lovers, and you guys know, if you watch that video, I had like this whole spiel about how rivals to lovers, low-key one of the best tropes. I feel like enemies to lovers is so extra and it's not needed half the time, whereas rivals to lovers, it's like such a cute way of falling in love with someone. Like, they're your rival in something, so you need to know their technique. You need to know how they do their thing in order to know how to be better. But then as you learn more about them, you slowly end up falling for them, and it's just really cute. I don't know, I really like that trope, and I like what Deanna Gray did with these 2 characters, Noah and Sage. I think the reason why I gave this a 4 and not a 5, because I knew early on in the book that I wouldn't give this a 5, and I'm trying to remember why. This is when I wish I had my notes. The way that the feelings came up in this book just felt a little bit odd to me, because it came from a character I wasn't expecting. Oh, okay, suddenly you like this person, and that took like what, 5 minutes. I was like, okay, because again, rivals to lovers. I thought there'd be a lot more tension, more competition to fester up like feelings or whatever, and while there was that, it wasn't like too much before the feelings were brought up into question, and I was like, oh, okay. You guys know me, I'm not a fan of insta love, and it wasn't really too bad, but it was kind of like, it did confuse me a bit, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, I think that's the only reason. Everything else about this book I absolutely adored. It made me realize I need to read more sapphic romances. I have not read a sapphic romance in a while, and I think I really need to do that. I think the last book that I read that had any type of sapphic romance was Chain Gang All Stars. You guys might remember my review of that book last year. Not the happiest of books in the world. So yeah, I think I just need like a good sapphic rom-com book, because I forgot how much I love them. Deanna Gray, I knew I wouldn't be disappointed. And I think she has again another sapphic romance coming out this year that's on my anticipated releases, but I don't think that comes out until the summer, so I have time. And I think she has a book coming out this month in March, so Deanna Gray is just pumping them out. And trust, I will be seated for all of it. I don't care. That was Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. Really cute, really cozy, really fun. And yeah, that is my wrap up. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. If you've read any of these books, let me know your thoughts down below, or let me know about anything that you read in February. What were your favorite reads? Yeah, I will see you guys in my next video. Bye everyone.